Okay, hello everyone. So this webinar is going to go over the Chicago Manual of Style, 17th edition, do's and don'ts. It will be specifically focusing on just some main concepts and main differences from other styles. And yeah, I hope it is helpful for you all. So first we're going to go over an overview of what the Chicago Manual style is and the main differences of it compared to other styles. So introducing it, there are two types of formats of the Chicago style. There's a notes bibliography system, which may be referred to as NB in other sources, and there's the author date system. So the notes bibliography system is kind of the iconic look of what we know as Chicago style, and it's commonly used in the disciplines of literature, history, and the arts. And its most notable feature is that it uses footnotes or endnotes. And then we have the author date system, which is used by those in the disciplines of physical, natural, and social sciences. And it uses parenthetical citations, which is very similar to APA and even LA. And this author date system is what most of you may be used to already. So we're going to spend a lot more time. We're going to actually spend all of our time on the notes bibliography system, more than the author date system in this webinar. So the note bibliography system. Similarly to the other citation styles, you're going to use notes each time you use a source. But instead of using a parenthetical citation, each time you use a source, you're going to include a footnote or endnote. Footnotes are used at the end of each page, while endnotes are used at the end of each chapter. So for those who are doing shorter papers that have no chapters, footnotes are more commonly used, and endnotes are for much longer papers and books and dissertations, where chapters are going to be used. So they'll be utilized there more. So at the end of the sentences where citations are made, you're going to include a superscript referencing the footnote or endnote and the bibliography entry. So instead of doing a parenthetical citation at the end, once again, you're going to just put a superscript of a number at the end of that sentence. And it's going to reference your footnote that's at the bottom of the paper. And then some differences in what goes into the footnotes or endnotes depends on if you have a bibliography or not. So if you have a bibliography, which is recommended, which is often required by professors, it's not necessary to provide full publication details in the notes. And when you're citing the same source more than once, your note can be shortened to the author's last name, a shortened form of the title, and page numbers, instead of all the full publication details. However, if you do not have a bibliography, the first note for each work must be the full citation, since we do not have corresponding entries in the bibliography. So that's a quick overview of what the note bibliography system entails. And now we're going to go through some specific examples. This one's going to go over the format of how to do it if you are citing a book. So as you can see for the notes, this is what it would look like in the footnote of your paper. So it's going to be a full-size number, not a superscript, that corresponds to the superscript you have at the end of your sentences. And then you're going to do the first name and last name of the author, comma, italicized title of the book, space with parentheses in which you'll have the place of publication, colon, publisher, comma, year of publication, in parentheses once again, comma, and then page number. So that's the full publication citation. Remember, if you have a bibliography, you can shorten that to just the last name, title of the book, and page number. But if you do not have a bibliography, your first footnote should always have, if you're citing more than one word, should always be the full publication. And then the corresponding entry for the bibliography is very similar to what the note would look like. However, we do last name, then first name, and everything else is in the same order as above. But please be mindful of the punctuation and what's italicized. This is very important so that you don't get docked any points when you turn in your papers. And this bottom note is for if your source has multiple authors. If there are 2 or more authors, then they should be listed in the order that they appear on the book, not alphabetically, but in the order that they appear on the book. So now we're going to go into an example of what it would look like for an actual source. So this first one is if there's one author, and we see that it's for Toni Morrison's Beloved. This is a full publication citation, footnote. So be mindful of that. And then we have what the corresponding bibliography entry would look like. They're very similar, basically just no number corresponding to the superscript and no page number. And then we have for what happens with multiple authors, we have the note similarly, but we have just more than one author's name. And we can see that they're in the order that they appeared on the book. Now we're going to go into what this looks like in a paper so that you'll exactly know how to format it. So in this paper, we see that the writer had put the superscript 3. This is her third citation. And then in the footnotes, there's a corresponding footnote with that superscript. And this is a shortened version of the footnote, and where we see just the last name, the title, and the page number. But the first footnote has the full citation. But we can also see that there were an error in this person's, in which the footnotes isn't a full-size number. So make sure you use a full-size number when you do your footnotes. Okay, so now we have the way that we would do notes for a peer-reviewed journal or periodical. So this is going to be pretty similar to what it would be for a book, except it'd be title of article, and instead of italicized, it's in quotations, and then the title of the journal is italicized. And then we have volume, and then the number of the issue. And then, so this is what it looks like. And remember to pay attention to punctuation when you're doing them. For electronic journals, the same format as above, but instead we include the DOI and the access date. And that's specifically for the bibliography entry, and not the note. And then we have examples for print journal and electronic journals. Once again, follows the same format as what we just previously seen. And for electronic journals, we can see that the access date and the DOI are the main difference. So this is everything. This is an example of what these would look like and how you'd go about it. Now that is the end of our webinar. These are the sources that were used for the webinar. Also, please feel free to use Purdue OWL. It is a great resource when trying to make sure that you are citing things correctly. And it's very accessible for everyone. Remember, the Writing Center is open for all undergraduates, and please feel free to make an appointment, even if it's just to look over citations. Have a great one, everyone.